woman says that she did a love spell on this man and it destroyed her life. Not only her mental health, but literally, physically destroyed some of the things that she had. I am back with another spooky story. You guys find out how this story ended. Like, when I tell you the lessons in this story is insane, you better make sure you watch till the end. Before we get into this story time, make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you leave a comment just so that I know that it's real. Duh. And make sure you hit that like button. Let's get straight into the video. I'm gonna call the person who submitted the story Neek. So Neek is your average girl. She had just turned 30, newly 30, and she had everything in her life that she could have asked for. You know, at that point, she lives in Texas. She had a really nice house and she was working as a teacher. Now she says working as a teacher, you don't necessarily make all that money. However, she was pretty fulfilled in what she does. Not only was she able to afford, you know, her house, her car, everything that she had, she was living a pretty good life. And it was filled with love because she loves working with children. She says that one day she met a man that would ruin her entire life, and she wants other ladies to know, never put a man above yourself. Always recognize what it is that you have and see what you can provide for yourself before you bring a man or anybody else into your life thinking that they are going to make it better. So she says like she's this teacher living her life, blah blah. She just turned 30 and her friends came back from out of town and was like, hey girl, like we should all go to like this really fun spot. We should go to this club, you know. And it's like this kind of it's a bar that turns into a club after. And so they usually have like karaoke. So like they have open mics and stuff like that on some nights. And so when her friends came over and said, let's go to a bar, let's go to a club, something, she was like, she thought this would be the perfect idea. She would get to watch talents on stage, and then after the fact, she would get to party. This is fucking lit. Yeah, sure. So she decided that she was gonna go to that bar. And she says in retrospect, it was another bar. It was another club at the time that she was thinking about going to, but that club was so much further out from where she lived, and she knew that the girls were gonna get drunk and nobody was gonna wanna drive home basically, and they were gonna have to pay for that Uber. So they just chose the closest bar. She says in retrospect, even though she really wanted to go to the bar that was further away, this bar just seemed like the better pitch, the better sell. Cool. This club / bar seemed like the better fit. Cool. So her friends come over, they all gather, they get ready, all really excited, and they head to the bar. We're gonna call it either the club bar, the bar or the club. It's the same thing I'm talking about. So they head to the club, and when they get there, they were doing performances. So there were rookies getting up on stage, you know, showing off their talents, whatever the case may be. And then, you know, after that segment is done, like I said, they would get to party. She says she walks in, a couple of people went up there. It was nothing special. Somebody did stand-up comedy. The other person did a poem. And then this man got up on the stage. Now, she says she was already having a good time because she was getting some drinks in her system, whatever. This man suddenly appears up on the stage. She walks up. They say that so-and-so is going to be performing his single next. So she's like, okay. When she looks up on the stage, she says, y'all, I kid y'all not, it's as though everything just slowed down like the movies. Like the man was walking on the stage, slow motion, and she's just like watching him like in slow motion. Everything slowed down. Like it's like the noise in the bar or the club just kind of like, you know, it was just them two. She says he walks up on the stage and then he sits down on his stool and then he starts singing. Now she says, to be fair, now looking back, his singing is all right, but in that moment, she felt like he was really talented. As he was singing, he brought tears to her eyes. She was just like, wow, like I feel like the song that he sung up there was like about me, because it was talking about holding out for a lover and all this, and she felt like she really resonated with the song. Not only did she resonate with the song, but she's seeing this beautiful man, tall, chocolate, and he had a bald head. So she was like bald head, beard, tall, chocolate, and he looked a little bit older. So she was like, okay. All right. So after his performance, a couple more people went on stage to, do their thing. And then eventually it was time for everybody to mingle and party. So now everybody's mingling and party. Neek says that she was determined to find that man. Like, she has to find that man and let him know that she's interested, and let him know that, get to know each other type shit. So she's walking around the joint, and after a good minute, she winds up running into him. Now, she said it really wasn't that hard to find him because he was tall, dark, handsome, bald, beard. Exactly her type. So she walks up to him and she compliments him on his music. She's like, yo, I was there earlier when you got up on the stage and you performed. Really talented. Like, just want to give you your flowers. Dude is like, yo, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. And then she starts asking him questions about himself. And she said he starts asking her questions about herself. And before they knew it, they sat by the bar and just talked for 3 hours. Whole time her friends are like, hey, girl, like, did you want to leave? Did you want to take an Uber home? We're tired. She's just like, give us like 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. Until she decided to tell her friends, you know what, guys? Y'all just go back to my house and I'm going to meet y'all there. Her friends were skeptical. They were like, we don't know this man. We don't want to leave you alone with him, blah, blah, blah. But she said she was the safest that she could possibly feel, and that she felt like within the 3 hours of conversation that she had with this man, she felt like she knew him. And so she told the girls, go home and I'm going to, see about my little year. So they sat at the bar for 3 hours. He did drive to the bar, and he offered to, take her to his house. So she was like, honestly, it had been a while since she got her kitty scratched. So when this tall, dark, handsome man, bald-headed beard, asked her to come back with him, she says it was a no-brainer because she was thinking the exact same thing. Also, why she sent her homegirls home, because she knew that she had business to handle later with this sexy man. So as they're driving home, she says that he lived pretty far from the club as well, but like as they're driving home, they're filling the time with conversation. Like, they're talking. And then she asked him about herself. She asked him about himself, and she said one of the things that really stood out to her was what he did for a living. So pretty much he told her that, he loves music, he wants to pursue music, and he's always wanted to be a musician. However, when he was younger, he didn't believe in himself. He didn't believe that he could make it out as a musician, feeling like it's a one in a million type of chance. So he decided to pursue medicals and still do music on the side just to heal his soul. Got his degree, and he is a physical assistant. So day-to-day basis, he works in the hospital, but on his time off, his free time, he would sing, he would do music, he would do these things to just kind of keep himself happy. And she thought that that was so well balanced. Now, again, a reminder about Neek is that Neek has everything that she wants. The only thing that she felt was quote unquote missing from her life was a man, was the love of her life. And so this man, everything that he's saying, like every question that he answered, it just seemed like he just knew the right thing to say. And Neek couldn't help herself. Not only was she attracted to him physically, not only did she like everything that she was hearing, this needed to happen. She said then they get to this man's house. This man lays her down and does the best job that anyone can ever imagine. She says that this man went to town on her. Okay? This man went to town. They had their sexual experience lasted over 4 hours. And she says it was 4 hours of nonstop pleasure. The man was all about her. She says she's never been with any past partners like this before. The man was all about her. His game, I don't want to say that because kids be watching, and I don't think you should be watching if you're a kid, honestly, but his head game fire, you know what I'm saying? Stroke game sent her to the moon, you know what I'm saying? So she was like, It was 4 hours of this man taking care of her physically. And mind you, they got home pretty late after the club situation. So she was like, they were going until the sun came up. When they finished, she was like, oh shoot, my friends are still in my house. You know, they came up here to visit me for my birthday, take me home, you know? So they exchanged phone numbers in that moment. They exchanged Instagrams, and he drove her all the way home. So she gets home and she's telling the girls about this perfect man that she just met. Like, she's just like, yo, it's impossible. The man is exactly her type. The man has a career and a job. The man's house looked pretty nice. So everything seemed to check out. He had diplomas on the wall. So everything is checking out. And then the smecks? What? Yeah, she was like, she found her man. He doesn't know it yet, but they're gonna get married. And of course, she says, one thing that girls will do is make you even more delusional. Because her girls were just so happy for her that she had found this guy, and that she seemed so happy that everybody was just like, yeah, girl, go for it. And at the time, to be fair, she did not have a reason to not go for it. So, cool. So she starts seeing him a little bit more. Now, during the week, they both work and they have opposite schedules. He claimed to work, you know, more of the night shifts in the hospital, and she worked, you know, morning as a teacher or whatever. So throughout the week, they wouldn't have much time to link up. However, you know, during the weekend and things like that, they would make the effort to link. So one day, they decided to go back to the bar where they met at, because he was gonna perform again. He was gonna do another show. She goes to support him. Everything is great. And he performed. She's like, yo, she was his biggest fan up there, blah, blah, blah. What got her and what surprised her was, at that point, it had been 2 weeks since they had met and they started talking. She said that she felt abnormally fast for this man. She doesn't know what it was about him, but she felt abnormally fast for him. And she just couldn't let him go. Like, again, can't explain that. She really genuinely felt like this man was her soulmate. So the man gets off the stage after performing, and she says she just sees like all these women coming up to him to talk to him, to basically tell him like, yo, like your songs was amazing, like you were such an amazing performer, blah, blah, blah. And she says what was killing her was the fact that he was entertaining each and every single last one of these women. Every woman that would come up to him to talk to him, even if she was standing right beside him, he would take his time and actually entertain an entire conversation with these women. And so she started feeling like, you're friendly. Like, you're real friendly. So within 2 weeks, she saw this red flag of this man being very friendly, and she knew that this was going to cause an issue later on in the relationship. Now, again, this has been 2 weeks since they started talking. So as of right now, she has no reason to be upset, but she's recognizing, she's clocking his tea pretty much. So she saw like the straw that broke the camel's back for her that night was the fact that he saw her also exchange information with 2 different women. And so she's just like, yo, what the hell? And mind you, again, she's standing right there, so she's able to see what's going on and partly hear what's going on. And so she's just like, So she left with him that night because she said she needed that bang, 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 thank you, ma'am, again. She hates going the week without it. So, you know, when she gets to see him, she wants to spend as much time with him as possible and also get that. So, you know, after the club, they went home, you know, did the bang, 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 thank you, ma'am. She says, and somehow the second time is even better than the first time. She goes home. She says a couple of weeks go by. She doesn't see him because he said that he was busy. He was working in the weekends. He picked up some extra shifts because somebody in his hospital went away. And so he picked up the extra shifts to work. So she didn't get to see him for like a couple of weeks. However, they did maintain active communication. Every day, this man would text her, good morning, beautiful, all of this and all of that. Like, he seemed like he was all about her. On the times that they were together, like in the house, it seemed like it was him and her and nobody else. So this was cool. She says, until She decided to go to a different bar one time with some of her other friends. She walks into this bar, and who does she see? The man, David. She sees David at the bar after not seeing David for 2 weeks, and David saying, like, you know, he picked up extra shifts and he's at work. David, what the fuck are you doing at the bar? So she walks up to him and she's like, yo, David, you know, you thought you said you'd be at work, surprise, blah blah blah. And David is pretty much like, yeah, you know, shift ended early today and I decided to come outside with some of the guys to, you know, get some drinks, but it's nice to see you, like, you know, whatever, blah blah blah. So she says there's something about this man that every time he explained something to her, she just felt better. Like, he could do something terrible, but he would explain himself and it would all make sense. He just had the amazing power of doing that. So she says when they ran into him, it didn't even seem like she was imposing on his space, because he winds up telling her, yeah, you know, like, just come over here, come be with me and my friends, blah, blah, blah. So her and her girlfriends are now hanging out with David and his friends. They're talking, hugging each other. You know, it seems like they're booed up and they're kissing and all of this. She says what really surprised her was she said that she wanted to leave with him at the end of the night. However, David seemed like he had plans to leave with another woman that night. And so she was like, she absolutely lost it. Because at that point, she knew that she was in love with David. She was head over heels for that man. And it's very clear that David is not where she is. So she says she just stormed into the bathroom and is just bawling. They went from having a really good night to now she is losing it. So she was in the bathroom for so long that people started to question. So her homegirls go in the bathroom. She tells her homegirls what's happening. And then they go back out there and they confront David. And David is like, well, I didn't know that she felt like this about me. Like, if I knew, then, you know, I would ask her to be my girlfriend. I'm just trying to go based on how she feels. And then that same night, that very night, David asked Neek to be his girlfriend. Neek says that she's never experienced anything like this before, and it felt really romantic. It really felt like David really wanted her. And no, David didn't go home with the other woman, because David went home with her to celebrate the fact that they were now boyfriend and girlfriend. It had only been a month since they met. They had only hung out for like a couple of weekends at that point, but she felt like she knew David long enough to know that he would make an amazing partner. A couple of weeks passed, and she's starting to notice like the same patterns. Like, she's not spending as much time with David. Her and David would go out, and it seems like David really has a wandering eye. And David has like this magnet type of feeling to him, where he just gravitates women. Like, they would be walking down the street, and women would just flock to David. And so she's just like, oh hell no! Like, I need David to be where I'm at in love wise. And so Neek says this is where she did what she was not supposed to do. She knew she wasn't supposed to do this, but she went to her aunt, and her aunt is known for basically being an Obia woman. Like, she helps people gain luck, women with pregnancies, like everything you name it, she was a witch. Okay, so she went to her auntie and she was like, auntie, like, I found the perfect man. I found the man for me. But the one problem is he's a gallus. So I really need you to ungallus him, you know, make him into me. And she said her aunt warned her that you cannot keep love like this, because it will come back to burn you. And she said she was so head over heels for this man, there wasn't nothing that she wasn't willing to do. She said, honestly, if her aunt didn't do it, she would have went to somebody else. So she says her aunt said, if you really want to keep this man, then maybe you should do a binding spell. So it wasn't technically a love spell, it was a binding spell. The aunt said, I'll do what I do here, and then you go home, and gave her a list of instructions to do. And she said, follow it to a T, and that man will be yours. But be aware that you are binding yourself to him. You are binding him to you. There is a glue that is allowing the binding to happen. Be careful of that. She said, okay, great. Thank you, auntie. She said the following, she goes home, does exactly what the auntie said to do to a T, didn't miss a single thing. She said the one thing that was weird was when she pricked her finger and like, you know, put her blood on the whole thing, she said that she felt like she saw a shadow just like walk past or whatever. She was like, you know, she wasn't trying to break her concentration. She just kind of figured that it's working. Even when she whispered her name, the cup of water that was there, she said it seemed like the water was rippling in there. Whatever she was doing seemed alive. So the following day, she says he came over to her with a sudden urge saying that he just wanted to see her. He stopped by her house really early to drop her off to school and says that he wants to pick her up from school and that he just had this sudden urge to just see her. So they do that, and she says, when I tell you, it was the best month that they had. They were dating for a month, and this man was spending big bread on her. Like, it's like she was coming home with flowers. She was coming home to flowers, dinners. Like, he even flew her out. And it just seemed like they were living the freaking life. Like, they were together. Good time, big time. And this, again, her man is a physical assistant. He can't afford her. Like, this is perfect. Until a month in, she says that the man asked her to borrow $1,000. She said at that point, it had been 2 and some change months since they've known each other. The man had spent thousands of dollars on her already. And so, you know, big money mean bigger bills. So, you know, he is a physical assistant. He does have, you know, pretty good, decent income. So it shouldn't, like, maybe he just really is in need for $1,000. And she says, honestly, at the time, maybe she should have questioned it a little bit more, but she didn't. She went ahead and sent that man $1,000. Within a couple of days, the man actually paid her back. He paid her back with interest. And so she was like, that's my man. You know what I mean? She said that she wanted to move in with him. However, he did live in a smaller house, a nice house, but it was definitely smaller than the one that she lived in. So she was like, yeah, like, maybe we should look into buying a house together. And he basically said, he convinced her that, nah, you know, your house is very big. He's very minimalistic. And so he just thinks that it would make more sense if they lived with her instead. And he said he framed it in a way where this is like their startup. This is where they're going to start together in this smaller space, you know, which is big enough for the both of them. They're going to see how they work in this house. And within like 3 to 5 years, because they're not rushing, they, you know, can move out and get a bigger house once they start having kids. So she said she thought this was a brilliant idea and a perfect, great step into their relationship, because now they are moving in together. And she said she also never lived with a man. Her life is, you know, taking off at this point. They move in together, and she's still, you know, going to her teaching job. And again, she wakes up very early in the morning to go to her teaching job. And he worked later shifts in the hospital. He would leave around noon or sometimes 1 p.m. So he would stay in the house. Sometimes he would even drive her to work, you know, blah, blah, blah. She says within a month of him living there, everything was going really well. Again, she would come home before him, so she would cook him dinner. She felt like, you know, the traditional girlfriend. And then she says she came home a month later, and it was a beautiful proposal. Like, she found candles, like everything that she could have imagined. Her friends were there, her family was there. This man went to her father, asked her hand in marriage, and got the approval, set this up. Everybody knew about her proposal but herself. She says it was the most romantic proposal, the most romantic night. They literally just flipped the house. Like, they switched up the house completely to match this proposal. And when she walked into her own home, she didn't even recognize it. That's how decked out it was. So this man was clearly hardworking while she was at work to surprise her. So they said yes, and then she said he one day woke up and said, I really can't wait. I just want to marry you. I want to marry you, and I want to marry you right now. They decided to elope. They didn't even have your traditional big wedding with friends and family and a reception. They went to a courthouse and made it official. That is how excited they were to do their union. Now, she said at this point, she forgot about the love spell. She thinks this relationship is perfect because the man is perfect, and she felt like the man was perfect from jump. So she's going on about her life, whatever. So at this point, they're married and they have a joint account. So she says he took care of majority of the finances, bills, etc. So money would just fall into their joint accounts, right? Now, Neek said that she had a separate card where, you know, she kept some money in, whatever the case may be. But when it came to looking at their joint account and seeing how much money is in there, she said for some reason, she just never did. She trusted that her man was handling all the finances, was handling everything around the house. Until one day she gets home and she sees an eviction notice on her door. So she's like, evictions notice? Like, what is that about? And then when she got the evictions notice, that's when she had the idea to let me go check to see, you know, the bills that's been getting paid. This has to be a mistake. Let me go look into the joint account and see what's going on in there, because regardless, like, I have money and my man got money. So again, when she was living there by herself, she didn't have a problem handling the bills or nothing. So like, what's tea? And her man, one important detail that I forgot to mention is the fact that, mind you, her man lost his car within like 3 months of them moving in together. And he had a really nice car. So lost his car within them living together. So at this point, they were a single car household. So she's just like, something is wrong. And she says in her spirit, she just knew something was nagging at her to investigate and find out what really is happening. So she decided to go open the joint account and see what's going on in there. And she says she was shocked because they were broke. That joint account had no money in there. It had $2 in there. And she said that joint account doesn't make sense because of the fact that there's 2 working people who are constantly putting money into this account. So it doesn't make sense that it would have $2 in there. So she's just like, wow. And again, she never really depended much on the joint accounts because that joint account was mainly for bills. So she really didn't have time to notice that this, like, are you kidding? So she goes to her man and she asks him about it, and he's just like, oh, I'm not really sure. So they decide to go over the transactions, and she's just seeing like transactions being taken out. Transactions just being taken out of their accounts. And she's just like, where are these transactions going? Like, this man was taking out all of their money in the account. And as she's going through the transactions, she noticed something. She said, wait a minute, dude. When was the last time you put money in this account? When was the last time you got paid? And then from there, she's scrolling back from as soon as they got married, and she's noticing that in that joint account, he has never, not once, deposited money into that account. He had just been taking money from her and not paying her bills this whole entire time, which basically made her do more research about the dude and found out that the dude doesn't even have a job. Found out that the dude is actually a scammer with no degree. Found out that the dude doesn't work as a physical assistant in a hospital. This man was living with her, damn near stalking her. And she says one thing about this man that she started to notice was his jealousy. It was the fact that, mind you, she didn't know that this man was staying home 24/7. And it was strange because, you know, as a doctor and things like that, or as like a nurse, whatever the case may be, he just seemed to be really into video games. Like, every time she would come home, this man would have a new video game. You know what I mean? And he said, strange, like, he created like a video game based off her. Like, he created Sims based off her. Like, he just seemed to have this obsession with her. Like, he would name characters after her, like all of these things. And obviously, like, every time she would come home, he would put it down on her. And sometimes, like, you know, she would bring her lunch to work. Sometimes, you know, she would be using the bathroom. The man has to be in the bathroom with her. So he was a very clingy man. But she says that she didn't feel as though she was in immediate danger. Like, it didn't feel too crazy. The only time it felt crazy was when he started to accuse her of cheating out of nowhere. So she was like, she has no idea where this comes from, but he just started to get uncomfortable with the idea that she had a job and she was working with men. And he didn't like that. He couldn't figure out for the life of him what she was doing in this building, in this school building, from 7 a.m. till about 3 p.m. It wasn't clicking to him that she had to work, and that she had to work with people of the opposite sex. Now, she says that, you know, he's had issues with her coworkers before. They've even gotten into it when he would pick her up from work. It would be an issue sometimes. So, but besides that, you know, in the video game playing, you know, she didn't see nothing wrong. She's sitting here finding out that this man is actually a scammer who has been scamming her for as long as they have really been together. She's wondering, was it ever real? Well, she knows it was real because she did a love spell on him, so she knows that dude loves her. But why would you do this? How could you love her and steal from her at the same time? So she goes and confronts him about it, and he just breaks down crying. He's just like, he didn't admit to it, but he says that he hasn't been feeling like himself for the past however long. He's not recognizing himself. Every time he walks past this mirror, he says that he's seeing a figure with him. Like, he says that there's something on him. He feels like he's about to lose his mind and be schizophrenic, but he just doesn't want to go to a mental health facility about it. And Neek is thinking that he's making excuses and all of this and all of that, and cussed him out, yelled at him, and told him basically it's over, to get the fuck out because you done stole like tens and thousands of dollars from Neek. So Neek is like, you need to leave. Like, I don't care anything you're telling me about you seeing figures with you and shit. You gotta go. And dude turned angry. He said he turned around and gave her a look that she has not recognized in any man. It is as though that look, it was something that possessed him and overcame him, because that man beat the living shit out of her. Bad. She said he beat her so bad that, like, she needed to go to the hospital. And when she went to the hospital, she had no choice but to file a report against him. Like, it was bad. She had to take off work, couldn't go to work, and had to give not only her face, but her whole entire body time to recover. Now she says she did file this police report towards him, but then when she got back home, for some reason, she decided to drop the charges against him, because she knew that she had done something to him. And she knew that this was her doing. So she goes back to her aunt and says, Auntie, what spell did you give me? And her auntie told her, I gave you a binding spell. There is something that is binding y'all together. There is a spirit that is on him. There's a spirit of obsession, of clinginess, of need that is on him, of jealousy that is on him. That is what is keeping him binded to you. And I can't get rid of that spirit. You'll have the man as long as the spirit is around. So that's that. And in that moment, she realized that she seriously messed up. She goes home and tries to reason with him to leave. He says he doesn't want to leave. And he says he's not leaving. And at this point, Neek is terrified of him. So Neek is like, you know what? I'm just going to have to kick him out. I'm just going to do what I do. If he beats me up, he beats me up. Neek attempted to kick him out again. And he says, like, it's like this man has superhuman strength. He would just push her off of him every time she tried to get close, get physical, anything. He would just yank, like just fling her off of him. And not only that, but this man destroyed Neek's entire property. It got to the point where Neek felt like she had to leave her own home. Now, mind you, it's Neek's name on the house. He refused to leave. And Neek says she couldn't get him out. The only thing that she could do is either get him arrested or figure out a way to reverse whatever that she had done. But she says the second that man turned violent towards her, it is as though that spirit, whatever was on him, was now determined to unalive Neek. Because Neek would always find herself in these horrible situations where she's getting beat on, where she is being abused terribly, and the man attempted to burn the house down with her in it one day. So she was like, oh, absolutely not. And every time she tried to get away from him, he would always find her. She says that this man became a stalker. How is it that she gave up the house, started living in motels to escape him, and he would show up outside her door at these motels every time? The editor here, I forgot to mention an important part of the story is that Neek ended up losing her job because of the fact that she couldn't show up to work anymore because it wasn't a safe space, and that he would go to her job. Sometimes he would be there waiting for her, either to harass her or her coworkers. And some days, like, she started missing a lot of days at work due to this, and she ended up getting fired. She says she applied for a restraining order against him. It was granted. He still broke it. And she said she knew like something was wrong. Like, he got locked up, came back out to find her. She says she knew she messed up. But what can she do about it? You know, the only thing that she could be grateful for is the fact that they never had kids together. But this man that she knew for all of 6 months would essentially ruin her life and destroy everything she has. The time that she had the restraining order against him, she says she could have gone to the police and gotten that man out of her house, but she was just too afraid. She decided to stay at the motel, and at that point she left the motels and started staying with a friend to where she was feeling much safer. Eventually he broke, the restraining order, and he got arrested, and then she was able to move back into her house. Got out of jail, came right back to the place to taunt her, to, whatever. And she realized in that moment that I don't think I'll ever be able to get away from this man. And in that moment, she really realized that she messed up and that she needs to get a divorce because they're married. So she starts going with the divorce. He doesn't want to sign divorce papers. And she's realizing in that moment, too, just how much debt that she is in. The man has opened up loans under her name. The man was taking all of her money. The man himself had no credit, which is why they couldn't buy a house together, because he wouldn't qualify. She says she divorced, losing everything, including the house that she met him with. She said after fighting to get that divorce, she had to go through his mother to get that divorce. 6 months after meeting a man, she lost everything. The man scammed her and left her with bills and left her in debt. It doesn't matter what love spell she does at this point. She says she needs to hold this man accountable for something. But he just won't leave her alone. She says she has moved on. She has a new man now. And that man would still come around. That man tried to attack her lover, her new lover. She says the only thing that she has figured out has helped was to keep him off of her property by putting salt around the rims and stuff, because whatever spirit is on him can't trespass into their space. But she said till this day, sometimes they would go weeks or even months without seeing him. But then she said every once in a while, she would look around and she would be like, I could have sworn I saw him, or I could have sworn I felt him. So now she feels like she is silently being stalked by this man. It's not as often as it used to be, but she's still afraid that one day he might just snap completely. So don't do a love spell on people. So at least take it from her. She said not to do love spells on people. So take it from her and maybe let that man love you naturally. All right. If you guys made it this far into the video, you have to let me know if you would ever do either a love spell or a binding spell with somebody. Or at least let me know, where do you guys feel like Neek went wrong in this story? Where do you feel like you would have made a different decision from Neek in this story? Let me know down in the comments below. Keep the discourse going. The more comments you guys leave, the more YouTube will boost my video. It will boost my algorithm, so it will allow a lot more people to see this video. Like I say at the end of every single video, I love you, my abducted humans. Oh, also, last thing I want to say is that I did take you guys' criticism on the fact that I've gotten quite a few comments saying that I talk about myself too much on this channel, and this is not, that y'all don't come here for me pretty much. Y'all come here for the spooky stories. And at first I was trying to push it, but I decided, you know what, you're right. Let me just take what you guys are saying. Let me take the criticism. And yeah, so I will be posting on my vlog channel anything vlog related, anything Nayla's life related. If you guys want hair products, makeup looks, vlogs, whatever, that will be on my personal vlog channel. But this channel, every Sundays and Wednesdays, I will be dropping a new video. Now, I want to give you guys a time and say approximately this time I'll be dropping it. I don't know, but just know that every Sundays and Wednesdays, I will be dropping a new YouTube video. Make sure you turn on your post notifications so you can be one of the first people to realize that I have posted a new video. Yeah, that's it. Sundays is going to be Spooky Sundays, and Wednesdays is going to be Paranormal True Crime Wednesdays. So I hope you guys are strapped up and ready to go and are ready to get spooky with me for this spooky season. Like I say at the end of every single video, I love you, my abducted humans, literally to the moon and back. That's it. Subscribe. I love y'all. From your favorite Haitian homegirl.